Hello, trading is closed on June 21st, 2021. We always start with our disclaimer. Let's do that. It's my trading plan for tomorrow, June 22nd. I can be completely wrong. Trade at your own risk. Well, I promised an interview with Norm Winski, and I could interview him, but I couldn't get my software to record what he said with any clarity. So I'm fortunate enough to have his notes, and I'm just going to go over it. As you recall, he bases his things on astrology, which works for him. It certainly has a higher win percent than I've seen from most people out there. AC is his code for after the close. He tells you in advance when these changes are going to happen. If it's a red arrow, he feels you would lose money. A green arrow, which by his standard is 1 day, within 1 day of a change in trend, you should have made money. If it's a green arrow here, you make. If it's yellow, there's no call. He doesn't take any signals when the market's flat. Well, that was cattle. That was cotton. Coffee, come back. Coffee was a miss. Sugar was a miss, but not big ones. Copper, that was a major win. Silver, the yellow means there was no call. Gold, look at that. That is a lot of gold for anyone who took the call. Orange juice, he tells me no one trades it. This call worked, that one didn't. Corn's another big winner. That's a pretty good sized move. No call in soybeans. Wheat, a winner and a loser. S&P, no call, a loser, a very big winner right at the top. Big winners in T-bonds. Dollar index, small winner, small loser. Pound, a major winner. Euro, no call. Yen, a major winner. So all in all, he had 74% winners this last month, and some of these were big ones. As you know, he gives free lessons. He gives free newsletter. If his style appeals to you, here's how to reach him. Okay, back to me. We looked for a gap. We have mixed indicators. We looked for a gap and a prompt move outside the day's range. Here's your gap. Here's the old day's range. Prompt move outside the day's range. So that worked. We did have a target of 41.8820. We said it might not work because if the gap were down, be nowhere to be seen. But the gap was up and that worked. There's a new target from today's trade, 4214.73. Unless we gap up smartly, which isn't impossible, but unless that happens, that's my call for tomorrow. Well, Friday it looked like we were going to fall into a deep dark pit. We came right to this line. And we said if we did gap under it, we would fall into that big, deep, dark pit. But we said if we didn't, that the trend line would hold. You said either you gap under it or the line wins. So we didn't gap under it and the line won. This looks like a pretty impressive rally, but there are a few things about it which aren't impressive. One is you rallied all day and the close was under the midday high. It's a negative pattern, and unless you gap and take out today's high promptly, which again is quite possible, unless that happens, we should see lower prices. The other thing which isn't good is you have a wall with a hole in the wall gap. These hole in the wall gaps fill, and usually, not always, they tend to fill pretty promptly. Usually by tomorrow or early Wednesday, we undercut this low. Now, if we don't do it by that time, it doesn't have to happen anytime soon. It's a tendency to fill soon. It's not a requirement. But so far, nothing I've seen changes the call that we have a possible top in place. What you really want for confirmation is to undercut these lows, and that hasn't happened yet. That's a minor blip we undercut. You undercut these lows, don't reverse it promptly, then I think the bottom falls out. Until that happens, even though you've got this great confluence of time and price at the top, there is still a chance we trade higher. Well, tomorrow's pattern has early low doesn't mean you won't gap up. We have a lower MEJT target. Unless we gap up smartly, that's my call. We have a hole-in-the-wall gap left at today's open. These gaps fill, and they usually fill pretty soon. Tends to be support under the gap. If it hasn't filled by early Wednesday, it doesn't have to fill soon. Breadth did not improve on today's rally, and that's a big negative the way I do things. And I still feel the market's running with scissors. But the picture is muddled somewhat because the volatility index, NASDAQ McClellan oscillators, gave Bollinger Band buy signal. This one went over its high and came back under it, and this one traded under its low and now is back up to it. These tend to be associated with lows, not with highs. So because of that, we have to apply the rules for mixed indicators. So tomorrow's pattern is the early low. This really is a rally with a stall, leaving a failed target behind here and a failed target behind here. So either we gap up, overtake these highs, or I look for lower prices, and this whole thing could be reversed if we don't gap up. That's today's call.